This
Yeah,
conference will
so,
now be recorded.
oh, cool. So, Melanie and then Elias. Melanie, tell me a little bit about your background and what interested you in the class.
Um, well, I had a friend that showed me this link with all those different classes that we could listen to and take if we are interested. And one of my things would be great to learn how to de-stress because, sometimes life gets crazy. I've got 3 kids, and then I also run a small business. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I thought this would
What's
be
the
good
business?
for me. It's just this little, it's like a reward system for children and at dental offices and medical offices. And I have at schools as well, elementary schools, I have like a little tower in there that I put capsuled toys in. And they earn a token and then they get there's like 8 different places they could put the token in and get their toy. So,
Oh, okay. So yeah, that is based on a reward type of thing. And
uh-huh.
so how long have you been doing that business?
I've about 3 years now.
Okay, wow. Oh, you've done it quite a bit then.
Yeah. Yeah. A long time ago, I had a hair salon that I ran for 6 or 7 years, and then I'm from Utah, and then we moved to North Carolina, so I sold that, and I just kind of stayed at home with my kids, and now we're back in Utah, and I thought I needed to, do something instead of just be an at-home mom, so that's why I started doing the treasure towers.
That's cool. Yeah, I like the incentives and stuff for kids, and I guess the main focus is good behavior, and you reward good behavior with some type of reward.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Yeah, I work with a lot of kids too. I teach martial arts, but it's a little, obviously probably a little bit different type of reward thing. But yeah, kids. At least I have my own, and then working with kids in a in a public environment, it's always a lot of fun to see kids be able to, at least for me, to be able to see kids gain confidence and also gain a sense of their own abilities and just their own ability to influence something, I guess, with the reward system that you do.
Oh yeah, and especially like if they're really scared of the dental chair getting their work done, they can just give them their token and show them, hang on to this, and you're gonna be able to go out and pick your toys. They get all excited and get
That's
a little
cool.
bit more courage to get their dental work done.
Oh, that's
So,
cool. Oh, I see. Yeah, that's right. It's you're not in a school. It's more of the, well, yeah, that's I think maybe our kids have gotten those little rewards too at the
yeah,
dentist.
it just
So
depends on where you're at. At the school, it's, if they've done good at however the school wants to use the tokens to reward the kids. Maybe they turn in their homework on time. Maybe they,
cool.
help somebody out, help another kid out, or been nice to somebody. So just depends.
That's great. That's awesome. And then Elias, tell us a little bit. I asked you some questions already, but just I guess for Melanie and as well to talk about you a little bit about your background.
Yeah, yeah. So I've um, s- been starting to do government relations and business development for Believe, um, and definitely can see the need to de-stress. And um, I I don't know if there's any time that our world's kind of going crazy right now.
Yeah.
Um, then I
Yeah.
have then I have 3 kids as well. So I have 2 girls and a boy, 5, 3, and 1.
Wow. Okay.
They keep us hopping.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Got
it's
3 kids.
uh, parenthood, as you know, is um, really keeps you going. And um, but yeah, I've been in the government relations and the energy industry for I don't know, probably about 10 years or so.
Wow.
Um, so I've lived in Utah all my life. My wife's from San Diego, and it's crazy that I was able to get her up here.
Yeah.
San Diego's nice. I mean, who wants to?
Yeah, it is. It is. San Diego's
Yeah,
really pretty.
yeah. So we have family down there that are they're thinking about moving up here, but I always tell them, look, don't worry, we'll come visit you. Don't worry, just stay down. But
That's
yeah, yeah,
that's cool. Well,
Nice.
good to hear with all you guys on that with, in regards to each of your specific background with, and so it's interesting, Melanie, um, you brought up de-stressing. Um, so what I had for tonight, and I'll be kind of curious what your guys' opinions are on this. I'm just going to turn off my phone. So tonight was kind of an interesting thing. So it's reinventing the self through body-mind integration. And there's and by the way, as we're talking and stuff, don't hesitate. I always just tell people that I work with, or whenever I'm teaching a workshop or anything like that, don't hesitate to make a comment or ask a question or anything like that. I always kind of want the audience that I'm working with, or the people that I'm working with, not to feel like I'm teaching and they should just be listening. It's always good to have exchange of ideas, and that
Mhm.
really is an important thing. So anyway, so as we're just talking, Melanie and Elias, don't hesitate to make a comment or say, oh, that makes a connection for me. I do that a lot when I'm in a presentation as well. I'll make a comment and say, oh, that makes sense, and just as a way for me to kind of ingrain something, a principle in my mind, to be able to use. So let's talk about how you reinvent yourself, and that doesn't mean that you're doing like a total overhaul of who you are as a person. It can be something as simple as just creating different kind of habits and things like that. But one of
Sure.
the really, and in fact, the only way that you can reinvent yourself is well, the easiest way, I guess. Let's just put it that way. One of the easiest ways to continue to create who you want to be as a person is through having your mind and your body be malleable. Um, and when I talk about malleability, it simply means that you're you are receptive and you're open to uh, uh, to your environment and to change and to influences that you normally would not be receptive and open to. And one way that we allow people to create those things is through what we call state change. Um, and when we say state, state can be simply just thought of as, if you're mad, you're in a mad state. If you're happy, you're in a happy state. If you're calm, you're in a calm state. If you're anxious, you're in an anxious state. Okay. And
Mhm.
interestingly enough, each of these states come with certain characteristics that people have. And so without focusing on the states that we don't want to be doing, let's focus on the states that we do want to be doing, and how to do those. So in saying that, I'm just going to give like a practical example of how for me myself, how I'll create state change in myself. So let me give you an example. Let's say I'm going to a job interview, okay? And when I go to a job interview, it's important for me, at least the way I perceive myself to be, that as I meet this potential employer and so forth that is interviewing me, that they see me as a person who is an ideal candidate. And so in order to create this state change, one thing that I'll actually do is when I see people, like let's say I stop and I get gas and I go in and I get a drink, I'll say, "Hey, how's it going?" to the cashier person, man or woman. "Hey, how's it going? How's work today?" I'll say, "Yeah, I got an 8-hour job," and I'll say, "You know what? The work's going to be over pretty soon, and you'll be able to go home and hang out with your family or whatever." Okay. And
Mm-hmm.
in most respects, sometimes I'm not doing that for them. I'm doing that for me. Why? Because I want to create a positive state in myself so that when I go in to see this potential employer, literally they're able to perceive that I have I have a positive demeanor, I have an optimistic type of bearing and so forth. And so like literally, like if I'm going into the building and so forth, I'll hold a door open for somebody. Like, "Hey, let me get that door for you." Why? Because all of these physical things that I'm doing start to create state change in my body and in my mind. Okay. So for example, Melanie, let's say for you, or for Elias, for you, one thing that I did in creating state change during like initially with the quarantine was, you're at the house all day and literally the house seems to start closing in on you. So one thing that we did was just literally, I just told my kids, "All right, let's get our bikes right now and we're gonna go and ride bike trails." So number one, we would get outside. Number two, you get physical activity with endorphins. Number three, you're around your family, so you're having a good time, a good experience, and it's something where you're just trying to be able to get into a different state of mind. Okay, that's a term we
Right.
use a lot, a different state of mind for what you're doing. So let me actually ask each of you. So Melanie, you first. Has there ever been an experience in your life where you've forced yourself to create a state change? And if so, how did you do it in order to have a positive experience?
Well, I guess off the top of my head, I could think of today. My kids was hot outside and they were just all kind of down and laying around like, "Whoa, this is boring." And I'm just like, "Okay, well, you know what? Let's go out and let's get on some swimsuits and sunscreen and music and get the hose going." And it made all of a sudden, we got everybody ready. We went outside and like my kids were happy. They were smiling. They were, having a good time. So that kind of changed everybody.
Yep. Now, okay, so let me drill down a little bit, Melanie, with you then. Uh, do you so given kind of like this approach, do you know how to create a state change in yourself if if you come home and maybe whatever, let's say you're not even at home, let's say you're going to an event and you've had you've had a long day. How can you create a state change in yourself where you're more positive, or you're more optimistic, or you're in what we call a proactive demeanor, rather than like coming to an event and you're not as excited as you want to be?
Well, if I'm around others, I know that like you were saying, hold the door for people. I look at somebody and smile at them, wave to somebody, and that always makes me feel better. Even though I don't know that it's going to make me feel better, I always just feel better afterwards.
Yeah. It's what happens is in the state change is that if you can interact with people and do something for them, or just do something simple where you create this positive interaction, like honestly, I want you guys to try this, and then Elias, I'll ask you next, is go to a convenience store, and when you talk to the person, just say, say thanks and say, man, looks like you guys have had great business today, and just say, you're probably excited to get off work and stuff, but I appreciate your help, and just simple things like that. And as you're going outside, if you have an opportunity, hold the door open. But literally, what happens is our minds and our, the way we physically start to act become more open and receptive, literally.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I emphasize that is because depression and, getting like down in the doldrums is a lot of times a state of mind. And I'm not saying, and by the way, this isn't like the kind of thing where maybe somebody who has actual like a serious depression disorder. I'm not negating that at all. That would be something where you may need to see a physician, and you may need some type of either a prescription or something on that tone to help you. There's a lot of things right now that people are using for that. So, and but again, the sunshine, being outside, talking with people, laughing, all of those things create
Right.
this malleability in our cells. Elias, what about you? What are some, have you, just in kind of bringing up some of these circumstances that we've talked about, are there things that you have done in your work or even at home to create state change?
Yeah, sometimes, especially with the quarantine and all that stuff, just working from home, a lot less interaction,
Yeah,
person to person, and it's, I think to me, it's harder. It's harder, just to hunker down and always because in the office, I'd always go around, and okay, I need to get out of the office, and I'd go
okay.
around and talk with people, and
Okay, so you're a very conversant person then. You like to, you like to talk to a lot of people and just have a lot of social interaction.
I would just like I'd go and bug people
Okay.
and break it up. But with me here, I'm like, okay, well, um, there's sometimes I can go out and talk because I'm working from home most of the time. Um, but sometimes, I can't really go bug my kid that's napping,
Yep.
or so sometimes it's as simple as just to do a pick me up, I'll do some push-ups. It's like,
Okay.
okay,
Great.
kind of reset or like you mentioned, change my environment, go for a walk. There's just kind of get out of, I don't know,
Out
out
of
of
your environment.
the
Yeah.
environment that I am to reset myself or to rejuvenate, kind of clear my mind. So that tends to help a lot for me. Um,
That's excellent. No, those are both good things. I'm not trying to put either of you on the spot with, okay, what exactly do you do to to create a positive demeanor about yourself? But these are literally physical things, and that people can do. And really, truthfully, in my opinion, this is my opinion, is that I really believe that successful people, it's not that the fact that they are people that have a different skill set than we do, than say Melanie, than skill sets that you have, or Elias, than abilities that you have. I really believe that successful people put themselves in a state of mind that is one that has successful attitudes and a successful approach, so that's what helps them become successful. And so keep that in mind, that states of mind, the way our bearing is, our whole demeanor, literally can be influenced in just a couple minutes by doing simple things as simple as, saying hello to somebody and having just a quick, how are you doing today? And, or as simple as like with our kids, hugging our kids for a second and saying, I'm so thankful that we've had a great day and, let's keep having a good day. Simple things like that. Yeah, sorry, Elias.
Mhm.
Yeah, no problem. It just on the other side there was so I'm teaching my 5 and my 3-year-old when they get upset to stop and take deep breaths to calm themselves down, and so that they could, instead of throwing a
Yeah,
fit, then they're able to explain what's going on and use their words. That's funny because sometimes, if there's a time where, I'm getting upset about something and they're like, Dad, you need to breathe. Take breaths, Dad.
that's
I'm like,
good.
okay,
Yeah.
you're
And
right.
breath,
I need to calm
breath
down.
work is kind of part of this as well, even though we haven't hit that yet. But okay, so the first thing we've talked about that we've as far as reinventing the self, okay? Let's say that there are aspects of ourself we don't like, okay? It's easy to change. Well, actually, let's retract that. It's not always easy to change, but it's actually pretty easy to change temporary behavior that can, over a period of time, change the way our actions are. Okay, so the first thing is state change, all right? Next thing, let's talk about how do you influence the mind, okay? So let's just talk about a couple parts of the mind, and again, um, we'll just keep it very simple so that it's easy for us to all kind of have these pictures in our mind. The mind, most of us think that the mind or the general makeup of who we are as an individual, as far as the mind, is the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. Okay, but actually, there's another part of that a lot of people either are not they haven't thought about, or it's an aspect that that a lot of the sages have talked about for for as long as mind body integration has been around. There's the conscious mind, there's the subconscious mind, and then there's what they call either the superconscious mind or the paraconscious mind. And the conscious mind is obviously those things that we are aware of and that we generally have a degree of control over. Not always, but we have a degree of control. The subconscious aspect of our mind are those things that are usually recessed, that we may have these extraordinary fears or extraordinary abilities, but a lot of times we are not aware of those because our subconscious does not always give those to us. And one of the best analogies that I've ever, that has always helped me with understanding these 3 facets of the mind is an iceberg, okay? The tip of the iceberg coming out of the water is generally denoted as the conscious mind. It's the thing that we can see, we're more aware of, okay? But the larger aspect of the iceberg that's under the water is our subconscious mind, and then the superconscious mind or the supraconscious mind, S-U-P-R-A, that aspect of the mind is the combination of all other subconscious minds of what people think of and what they're doing. And I'm going to give you a prime example of that, of what the superconscious mind is, so it doesn't sound so esoteric and vague. Okay, I'll give you a very clear example. We know that when in many cases, when people create inventions, for example, the TV was invented by Philo T. Farnsworth, but there was I believe it was a Russian scientist, at the same time who invented the television as well. We know that at the same time that they were doing flight with the Wright brothers, that other people were on this same path, and there was other people were doing the same things, similar, but not that they didn't obviously beat the Wright brothers to the invention of the airplane. So in saying that, the superconscious mind is simply the fact that knowledge is out there, even though it may not be our own knowledge. It is knowledge that we can be able to apprehend or be able to understand and be aware of. But a lot of times it's not from our own experiences. It's just a superconscious mind of a collection of intelligence, okay? And so why am I bringing up these three things? Well, what do they have to do with reinventing ourselves and making ourselves better as individuals? Well, the reason why is because while the conscious mind has an understanding of the day-to-day things that we do, the conscious mind cannot control how we address our fears, and a lot of times the conscious mind is not able to dictate our future, because the conscious mind doesn't have that kind of control over what we think and the things that we're either afraid of, or the things that we're able to, the things that we have capacities to do that are sometimes latent, okay? And that's the subconscious mind that has these abilities. And then the paraconscious mind is again a collection of things that it's a lot like intuition, of how we gain intuition of some things that we just kind of have an idea about and we're not sure, and a lot of times that's because of the superconscious intelligence that we are taking, that we are able to gain knowledge from. Okay, so now let's talk about how we're able to access the subconscious mind and how it influences us in what we do, and that goes to the ability to use breath control. Okay, so we're going to start on a next phase on this. So we've started out with state changes. State changes, as we talked about, we're able to do by our conscious volition. Okay, we're able to do it by just simply, Melanie, what you said with your kids going outside, Elias, with what you said with doing your push-ups. There are things that we can do immediately that we can create immediate change. Okay, but now we want to create something of lasting change, and how to do that. All right, so it's through mind-body integration. Let me give you a very simple example, and I may have shared this before, but it's a simple way to help us understand the mind and how it works. The two most critical times that you can influence your mind is either just before you go to sleep, in what we call states of reverie, okay? Just before you go to sleep, because what happens then is, again, use the analogy we used of the iceberg. As we go to sleep, all that water that covers up the subconscious mind begins to recede, and the subconscious mind becomes more revealed, okay? And that's what happens just as we're going to sleep and just as we wake up, okay? And again, why are these times so important? Because the mind leads the body. The mind has power over the body, where our mind can have fears so powerful that our body literally develops physical characteristics that manifest those fears, whatever they may be. It may be an allergy, it may be a nervous tic, it may be whatever that person has, an anxiousness, or just a fear in general. But go back to what we talked about with our states of mind. One way to access the subconscious mind is through just before we go to sleep, through that state of reverie, and just as we wake up. Why? Because our breathing is harmonized at those times. Just before we go to sleep, our breathing starts to become consistent, and it becomes, it's no longer the type of breathing we have throughout the day that can be very erratic and very uncontrolled. And those states of breathing, either before we go to sleep or just upon waking, are very slow, what we call diaphragmatic breathing, that allow us to be able to create these states that we want in ourselves that are hard to access as we wake up and go to our day-to-day things. Okay, so let's pause for just a moment. And Melanie, do you mind just sharing a couple of things that you learned from this, and if any of these were, just some things that helped you? Just share a couple of things that might have stood out for you.
The just before you go to sleep and wake up. So I guess like maybe do something to calm yourself down. Is that what you're saying? Like, or listen to something, meditate, do something before you go to sleep. Is that going to help you get in that good state of mind?
Yeah, it does. It directly connects to your breathing. It directly connects to how your body's breathing, and this relaxed receptive state that we're in of what we're doing. So just to okay, so anything else that may have stood out for you that you felt was either something that was helpful that you didn't think of before, or something that kind of confirms something you may have thought of before?
I guess I just really stood out about the right before you go to sleep and you
Okay.
wake up. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't probably do anything that I should be doing, like maybe watching a show that's not relaxing, or like can get you going thinking, and then I shut my tablet off and go to bed. It's probably not a good thing.
yeah. I mean that it is true that usually, like there's a there's a couple books out now on sleep that are very valuable. One book is by the woman that started the website Huffington Post. Her name is Adriana Huffington, and she wrote a book on sleep, and just the critical nature of getting sleep in our lives. And so that might be something, if you feel like you don't get great sleep, but
Yeah, and that's my daughter too. She's 15, and she told me she like has the hardest time going to sleep. She's like, yeah, I rarely fall asleep till like 1 or so.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, I've been trying to give her like melatonin and stuff like that, but I don't know. I need to find something maybe I guess that might be good for her to read too.
Yeah, there's a lot of I'll have to get the book. There's a recent book that talks about sleep, and there's a lot of factors actually to create an ideal sleep environment. And one of the things is that is as far as the room itself, the physical domain, is that you really need to have a completely, like a dark room, like a completely
Hmm.
dark room where you're not getting a lot of interference in the your ability to try and sleep. And I know it's hard with kids to get good rest. It's not easy. And so a lot of times people are not getting great sleep. So let me so I want to actually focus on something that you brought up as well, Melanie, but really quickly, and before we do that, Elias, what were some things that connected with you on talking about the subconscious mind, and also sleep and states of reverie?
Yeah, I've heard that before about the two most critical times is right when somebody wakes up and right when they go to bed. I actually heard that. Okay, what's the most important times? The first, there are 3 minutes for your kids. I actually heard it regarding kids. When they wake up to kind of set that day, and when they go to bed to make sure it's calm and secure and in a way that is positive. And so it makes sense to have that for us as adults as well. And I thought it was interesting that you said that, and it makes sense. The subconscious mind is revealed more in sleep, and that makes a lot of sense. I'm a dreamer. I dream all the time. I wish I could just turn them off. It drives me nuts. And they're just things that just, things that just don't make sense, or things that just boiled up on, you know what, that I didn't know that was still in there. But I really appreciate your analogy about it's kind of like the iceberg with the water receding down, and that subconscious mind is being revealed more. And so it's important for us to kind of set, I guess, and influence that the tone of the subconscious when it's about to be revealed and worked on, and while you're sleeping.
Yeah.
And I had no idea that was caused by I think you said harmonic breathing, or just.
Oh, yeah. Well, one, breath control can contribute to a good, breath control. What happens is, as the body's sleeping, is that you see a natural rhythmic breathing to our state at that time.
Right.
And what happens throughout the day is that our breathing changes. So let's go to so we talked about state change, which is what we can physically do with our conscious mind each day, as far as putting our minds in a receptive, positive state. Okay. Next thing, we talked about what the subconscious mind, a little bit about the superconscious mind and what that means, and then also the conscious mind. But more importantly, the subconscious mind is related to, a lot of times, that the subconscious mind it withholds a lot of these fears that we have. The subconscious mind is literally the engine that drives how we perceive ourselves. If sometimes you'll say that a person is secure or insecure. Well, the fact is that, truthfully, everybody is insecure and everybody is secure. However, it just depends on where you catch somebody. Maybe the person that is really secure all the time, they're on they're playing tennis, or they're playing a sport with their friends, and they're not very good at it, and all of a sudden you see maybe not insecurity, but maybe you see a lack of confidence with that person. Okay, so those things can happen. Anybody at any time can be really super positive, and they can be pretty negative just by their state. All right. So
Right.
next thing is, we've had these states that we've talked about of where the mind can be most receptive, and it's usually with our breathing patterns. Okay, with the subconscious mind being open and malleable, and the way we breathe. Okay, next thing. So that means that at least once a day, and we're not going to go over an elaborate type of meditation. It's harder today to do that just because we're on a Zoom, and it would be easier for me to show it in person, but I'm just going to have you do a couple of basic things in order to start to help create states of mind that allow us to create positivity and proactivity within ourselves. Okay, so at least once a day, you need to take between like 10 to 20 minutes and just go into a quiet room and either lay down. I like to lay down because it's easier to create rest for the body. And you can also sit down, but that's if you don't have an ideal, place to lay down. And so you just want to lay down and you want to start to breathe in a relaxed manner. And as you breathe, your simple thought is going to be, as you inhale, you're going to inhale and inhale down towards your stomach, okay, or what we call your diaphragm, which is also called belly breathing. And as you exhale and just feel energy exiting through your feet, okay? You're going to inhale again, and you're going to inhale through your stomach. Bear in mind, you're not using your chest. You're going to inhale.
Yeah, you can like feel your stomach kind of moving out.
Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see your stomach moving up and down, Melanie. So this is diaphragmatic breathing or abdominal breathing. There's a lot of terms for it, okay? You'll inhale and then exhale very, just relaxedly. You don't want to really force it where you're going anything like that. You're just going to go and literally picture the oxygen moving down through your body and out your feet. Okay. Inhale. As you inhale, feel your diaphragm expanding. And as you exhale, picture this oxygen leaving your abdomen, going down your legs and out your feet. Okay. Let's try that one more time. Okay, 2 tips on this, what meditation experts will tell you. As I'm inhaling, I want my tongue to be at the top of my teeth, okay? I want to inhale, this is important, I want to inhale through my nose. I can exhale out my mouth, but it's important to inhale through the nose, okay?
Okay.
Next thing is when I inhale, as I completely inhale, as I get to the top of that inhalation where I can't inhale anymore, I actually want to swallow my breath, or I want to swallow what I've inhaled. And then as I exhale, once I get to the end of that exhale cycle, I'll exhale and I'll hold it for like 2 seconds and then I'll inhale again. And remember again, I want to establish a harmonic type of breathing rather than, okay, I don't want to hyperventilate. That's not good.
Yeah.
I really want to make sure that I'm doing this relaxed breathing as best as I can. And bear in mind, again, this will be 10 to 20 minutes. Sometimes it could be longer. And if you fall asleep, okay, don't worry about it, but try not to fall asleep for too long because it really, your body may not be used to it and you'll be up all night. So that's another thing as well. So when, I don't know, Melanie, if you were you doing the breathing we were doing as I was as I was verbally talking about it?
Yeah, I was.
Okay. And did did you feel any difference or no in just doing the
So
basic breathing?
yeah, I did. I'm not used to, you know, it right now because I don't do it a lot. So kind of felt like, I was holding that in for a little too long, but I'm sure I would get used to it before you blow it out. And then afterwards, before you take another breath. But one thing that, like, because I try to take deep breaths and calm down, to calm myself down, but what I've been doing is it's like with my chest. I
Okay.
can feel my chest going up and down. So that's good to know that, you go down deep and breathe in that way. That'll help.
Yeah, this is just what we just call it abdominal breathing or diaphragmatic breathing. Um, but okay, so just some quick notations on this. Many there are many schools of thought. Like I've done this type of breathing for years, so I don't want you to think that I'm talking from like a textbook and it's something I read and I thought, okay, this will be something. I've done a lot of different types of breathing, and for some of you may know, I've done martial arts for years as well. And one important thing, when you're doing martial arts, is because you may be sparring with somebody, and that person may be a lot bigger and stronger. So what do you do? Well, even if you have fear in your system, remember again that through training the breath, you can literally change the way your brain. Remember what we talked about before is when you get into this, when you create these states of receptivity, of malleability with the body and the mind, you can change the way you respond to things. Okay. And that's what we're trying to do. That's why I brought up just tonight with, as far as what we're talking about tonight, with reinventing ourselves, with how we respond to an event. So a simple way of doing that is that, let's say, for example, for me, like a lot of times I'll get up in the morning, and with my kids, I'm not a great morning person. Some people are. It's harder for me to get up in the morning. I have to kind of slowly work into the day when I get up in the morning. Whereas like my my son or my wife will get up, and they're different. I'm not as much of a morning person. So my point in saying that is that a lot of times we get up and we have things that trigger us, and we'll go from that thing that triggers us to getting impatient, or maybe it triggers depression, whatever it may be. One important thing that I won't go into this today, but this is one that I want to do is, and this will be one of our fun workshops. You guys are going to love this. It's called A Perfect Day. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to create the perfect day for each of us that we define for ourselves as a perfect day. So I'll just tell you guys really quickly what a perfect day is and why it has bearing with what we're talking about. A perfect day for me would be getting up. The minute I get up would be to go out and either go for a walk around the block, or to go for a quick bike ride, or to go up in the mountains and go on a hike where I feel like I'm, just doing a fun workout, and I'm breathing, and I'm just I'm immediately doing something that is a way to get my body and my mind working together for that day. Okay, so and we'll go into more of this concept of a perfect day later. But the point of doing this is that for each of us, when you get up in the day, um, remember that you can think about, as you're in this state of, as you wake up in the morning, picture who you want to be as a person, or how you want to respond as a person when this subconscious mind is peeled away like an onion, where I'm most receptive, or just before I go to bed, of creating that image with ourselves to start to reinvent, recreate, and reboot who you are as an individual. The next thing is very critical. You have to take time throughout your day, whether it's for 10 minutes or 20 minutes, and reboot as far as relaxing your mind and your body so that you can recharge. You have to do that. I mean, I'm saying that because it's very important that your body
Mhm.
recharges and does that. So, and that's where you're completely still and you're doing your breathing as a way to start this process of creating a more, a more tension-free. All right, thoughts and
Eddie, are you going to be doing other classes like follow-up classes?
yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
I talked with Austin about this, and I didn't get a chance to. I was going to follow up with it's. I know it's been crazy with everybody. It I've had a little bit of stress on my end with my school opening, and it's just been stressful because I'm in Salt Lake City and I'm still under a different color code. And so anyway, it's just I won't go into detail with it. I'm not going to complain about it because I'm in a good state right now with you guys, and I'm enjoying working this right now. But so I talked to Austin and I just said I want to do a series workshop where we have themes and we're going to go through these themes and we're going to drill down and we're going to have a blast, and it's going to be
Right.
a lot of fun for everybody. We're
Right.
for you as as a way for self-discovery, and as a way for you to kind of say, wow, I didn't know that about myself, or I wasn't aware of that. But yes, that's the intent.
That's great because we're at
Good.
our 8:30
Oh,
right
okay, okay, that's
now.
perfect.
Not to cut it short, but I know I've taken a bunch of notes, and I would like to, as long as you're going to be doing some more classes, I think that'd be
Yeah.
great.
Awesome. Well, good. So Elias and Melanie, did you feel like this was helpful? So the one thing I want to just end on is more so than anything else, take the 10 to 20 minutes a day. That's what I want to end on as far as what's the most important thing that I could emphasize. It's that. Take your 10
Mhm.
to 20 minutes a day in the early afternoon, like between 2 at the latest 4 p.m., and check in with a breathing period. That's it. Inhale, and as you exhale, picture the oxygen going out of your diaphragm, through your legs, and out your feet. And I promise you, if you do this over a bit of time, you'll definitely see positive results from it with de-stressing.
Great. I'm excited to start
Yeah,
doing this because
yeah,
so many times throughout the day, like I wake up thinking, okay, I'm going to start my day. We're going to have a good day. And then things just happen and it gets crazy. I never do that. Never take that 10 to 20 minutes. By the end of the night, I'm like so done. You know, my kids
yes,
can see it. Sometimes if my kids aren't doing what they got to do and go to bed, I can see it in me, and it goes to them, and it's just not good.
yeah. It is. You're right, Melanie. And the good thing is you're aware of it. So yeah. And so what we're doing, what we're going to start to do is what we call pattern disrupts. Okay. And we're going to create disrupts in the way we normally think and the things we normally do. And that's the goal. So there's a lot on this. Like I have a whole, I won't go into like teaching this before, but I've taught this before, and and so it's not something where I'm just where I'm talking about something that I'm trying to see. See how this experiment works. I've taught this before, and we've had great results with it, and also for me myself, and so let's just keep moving forward with it.
I
Great.
really appreciate it too. I'm excited to apply a number of these things, not just for me, but for my kids as well. So I think it'll be
Awesome.
great.
Yep. The kids are great as well too, just with stillness, you know, having them do this abdominal breathing. So we can go into that as well with people that have worked with kids on this abdominal breathing. Abdominal breathing is just very simply one of the it's what honestly like martial arts sages and a lot of the yoga masters have talked about for for centuries as one of the great passages of wisdom that we have in order to bring a sense of harmony and understanding to our lives. So we'll go into that more.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks, Melanie. And thank you, Elias. And just I appreciate you, each of you taking your time. And like I said again, I didn't care if it was one person or many. Each, we're going to make it. We're going to rock and
Yeah.
roll with this. So thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thank
Yeah,
you, Ed.
thank you. I appreciate it too. And do we know when the next follow-up will be?
I'm going to talk with Austin and we're going to just lay it out and we'll send something so everybody has a heads up, but it'll most likely be a Wednesday if that works for you guys.
Yeah. I
Okay.
think that'd be great.
All right, cool.
Awesome.
Does that work for you, you guys then?
Yeah, that should be
Okay,
fine.
good. Yeah, and it'll be evenings unless you guys say days are better. I can do days, but we'll do days work for you guys or no?
It depends,
I
but
don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, it just depends. I mean, evenings are good too. Good.
Well, if
I
evenings are
don't know.
better, then just let me know.
yeah, it
Okay.
depends. Yeah, there's a number of times in the day that could work. So it just depends on when.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll follow up and thanks again. I appreciate it. You guys have a great night and a great day tomorrow.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks. You
Thank you.
too.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.